Have you ever found yourself in a situation where you're struggling to understand something, but you just don't know how to ask for clarification? You're not alone. It's a common occurrence, but thankfully, there are numerous phrases you can use to express your confusion and ask for help. The first phrase we're going to explore is, "Could you say that again, please?" This is a polite way to ask someone to repeat what they've said because you didn't catch it the first time. For instance, if you're in a noisy environment and miss what your friend just said, you might ask, "Could you say that again, please?" Next, we have, "Could you repeat that, please?" It's pretty similar to the first phrase, but used more in formal situations like a business meeting or a lecture. An example could be a student asking their professor, "Could you repeat that, please? I didn't quite get the concept." What does mean is a straightforward question to ask when you don't understand a specific word or phrase. For instance, if someone uses a technical term you're unfamiliar with, you might ask, "What does quantum physics mean?" When you're unsure about how to spell a word, "Could you spell that for me?" Or, "How do you spell that?" are your go-to phrases. For example, you might ask, "Could you spell hieroglyphics for me? I'm not sure I understand." "Could you explain what means?" is a great phrase to express confusion and ask for an explanation. If a colleague uses jargon you're unfamiliar with, you might say, "I'm not sure I understand. Could you explain what synergy means?" "Could you elaborate or provide more examples?" is a phrase you can use when you need more information or clarity. For example, during a presentation you might ask the speaker, "Could you elaborate on how this strategy will increase our sales?" If a concept or explanation is too complex, "Can you break that down a bit further?" is a helpful phrase. A student might ask their math teacher, "Can you break that equation down a bit further?" "Could you clarify what you meant by?" is another useful phrase for asking for more information or clarification. For instance, "Could you clarify what you meant by streamlining the process?" When something sounds too complicated, "Could you simplify that for me?" is a great phrase to use. For example, "This recipe seems complex. Could you simplify it for me?" "Can you give me some more context?" is a phrase that can be used when you need more background information. For example, "Can you give me some more context about this historical event? I'm having trouble grasping that. Could you explain it in simpler terms?" is a phrase to use when you're finding something particularly challenging to understand. For instance, "I'm having trouble grasping this physics theory. Could you explain it in simpler terms?" "Could you walk me through it again?" is a phrase to use when you want someone to repeat an explanation or instructions. For example, "I'm still not sure how to do this. Could you walk me through it again?" In summary, we've explored 12 common phrases that can be used to ask for clarification. "Could you say that again, please?" "Could you repeat that, please?" "What does mean?" "Could you spell that for me?" "I'm not sure I understand. Could you explain what means?" "Could you elaborate or provide more example?" "Can you break that down a bit further?" "Could you clarify what you meant by?" "Could you simplify that for me?" "Can you give me some more context?" "I'm having trouble grasping that. Could you explain it in simpler terms?" "And could you walk me through it again?" Each of these phrases is a tool to help you better understand and engage in conversations, whether casual or formal, everyday chats or academic discussions. So the next time you find yourself struggling to understand something, remember these phrases and don't hesitate to use them.